Hey guys, this is Daniel Krakowski from VSM Commercial, joined today by Rafiq Moore with the Caspian Group.
Hello, everybody.
Today we recorded the 4th episode of the Minnesota Deals podcast, where we went over in more detail what we talked about last week about investing in real estate with no money down. Now, Rafiq shared some amazing stories. We got really into the nitty-gritty of how you made it work. Thank you so much for sharing those stories.
You're welcome. Always happy to share.
This is the VSM Commercial Podcast. Your source for industry insights and exclusive real estate deals starts right now. Hey everyone, this is Daniel Krakowski from VSM Commercial for Minnesota Deals Podcast number 4. Today I'm joined by Rafiq Moore from Caspian Group.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you. It's been a great day.
So last time we talked a little bit about how to get into investing and how to acquire deals with no money down, and had a big response for me, at least. I was getting phone calls from people like, hey, how do you actually, yeah, exactly.
Where's the money, Daniel?
Where does that actually happen? So I don't know if you had any feedback on that either, but it looked like.
Yeah, I got a lot of calls and emails, and I think people wanted to talk about it. So definitely happy to share.
You know what I noticed on Facebook? What? Everyone was like, "Great job, Rafiq. You looked really good, Rafiq." And really? I got no love. So
it's because I bombed before. I sucked. So hopefully, I'm getting better.
So anyway, what I wanted to do is spend a little bit of time about how are we going to actually, in the nitty-gritty, start investing in these deals with no money down. Absolutely. And it's something that everyone's excited about. It's something that a lot of people feel is the big barrier to their entry into investing in real estate. But there's a few pretty simple, once you know what you're doing,
secrets of the trade.
Exactly, to make it work. The first of which is likely one that most people are familiar with, which is wholesaling.
Absolutely. Well, wholesaling is not necessarily you buying the property, but yes, you are able to sell something you don't own.
Right.
In commercial real estate, we call it arbitrage. In residential real estate, you call it wholesaling properties. Right. Effectively, it's signing a purchase agreement and selling the purchase agreement to another investor for a fee.
Right.
It's a great concept for somebody who doesn't necessarily have the money to buy the building, but believes in the value of the property. We've taken that concept a little further.
Yeah.
Every time we buy a property, we never have an intent of arbitraging it. Mm-hmm. For us, it's just another deal that we're going to do. But having a philosophy of abundance, we always like to share. And so when investors come in, when friends ask about investing in real estate, and I talk to them about the deals I have in the pipeline, they say, well, I like this one. And then for a small fee, mm-hmm. I'm happy to assign or sell the deal. However, we do create value by finding a tenant. For the most part, that's what we do. So, an example of a property we have under contract right now. This deal is actually happening right now. We got this building under contract. I can't disclose the name of it until it closes. But when it closes, we'll talk about it.
Circle back.
We'll circle back, talk about this deal. But we got this property under contract for $1 million, and we found a tenant who will occupy the building. And the value of the property with that tenant in place is around 1.8, 1.7 million.
Wow.
It's a great deal. We got excited. We got to spend about $150,000 cleaning it up to make the space work. And a friend of mine who really likes that area and who has a lot of rentals in the neighborhood says, I really want the property. He begged me to sell it to him. And basically, the nice guy that I am, I let him have it for a measly $150,000 fee.
Just giving it away.
Yeah, gave him away $500,000. Seriously.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to close on this deal if he fails, but he's rock solid. He's got 2 lenders ready to close. And that's one of those deals. Now, as a matter of fact, this deal was brought to me by a buddy of mine who wanted to partner up on a deal. He brought it to my attention, and we co-arbitraged it together. So that fee is actually going to be split with that guy and with our leasing agent who found a tenant. Right. So we basically have an agreement, handshake. We haven't signed anything, but handshake agreement where we basically going to split the proceeds, and everything is going to be great, hopefully.
Yeah, and if you look at and you break it down into its each individual part, there was the initial partner who brought you the deal, right? And I'm assuming that they likely brought you the deal because they were hoping to get into it and do so without having to bring capital themselves.
Absolutely, yes.
So you were a resource to them as an experienced investor who you could look at the deal and say, hey, there is a profit to be made here. Yes, let's do it. And for your effort, I will provide you with some equity piece on the deal.
Absolutely.
So you did great there. Then on the back end too, you also don't really need to be bringing money to the deal either.
Not
because
necessarily.
In this specific instance, you were able to arbitrage it to the end user here as well.
That's right.
So in one transaction, there were 2 or 3 people, because the leasing agent who added value by placing a tenant, which increases the value of the building, which increases the value of the investment. 3 people brought no money to the deal.
And they're all getting paid.
And they're all getting paid with the equity, with an equity piece, yeah.
And if the arbitrage didn't work,
Yes.
if arbitrage did not happen for whatever reason, we would gladly buy the property. Now, we'll have to bring an equity partner or some sort of capital, which I might be able to fund it myself, and then stabilize the property ourselves, put it on the market for $1.8 million 3 to 6 months later, and sell it for a larger profit.
Right.
Now, the only reason we're doing these things right now is because we're so busy with deals. I don't have enough bandwidth to stay on top of all these deals that we're doing. So we're happy to arbitrage them or partner up and offer the opportunities to people who are interested in doing it.
And when you're thinking about wholesaling, this is something, or arbitrage, depending on the category of real estate you're working in. The ability to close on the deal, whether or not you're able to assign or however you're transferring your interest in that purchase agreement to someone else, it means so much more, I think, to the people that you're doing business with. You always want to be a little bit careful about building a reputation of someone who doesn't close consistently.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
The minute you are not able to perform on a property, your reputation goes down the tube. So you got to be very, very confident in your ability to perform and get the deal done yourself first.
Right.
And then assign your rights, provided that there's value. Obviously, you don't want to be selling bad deals either.
Correct, yeah.
I would not feel comfortable selling a deal to an investor knowing that's a bad deal. I'd rather not do the deal at all and walk away. Yeah. But if we find a motivated seller, and if we find a way to create value, there's many ways to slice it up and have share it with people who are interested in engaging in the real estate business.
And what's great is, in its simplest core, it's, you may not necessarily have the knowledge or experience of the asset type that you're looking at right now. For example, I was speaking to a young man on Facebook who was like, I found this commercial property. I think it's a great deal. I can't tell anybody the address. Here's the number. Here, can someone help me with it? So I called him and I'm like, please give me a little bit of information about it. And it took about 2 sentences to realize that this was not a deal at all. Mm-hmm. It was worse than retail pricing.
Remember the 5 data points we talked about in the first episode.
Exactly.
Everybody needs to remember those data points and have the answers ready when they talk to Daniel or myself about a deal. What is the current NOI?
Correct.
The future NOI, etc.
And, for them, it was also needing to know, even if you have the current NOI and the purchase price of the building, that answers a lot of your questions. If those 2 things don't add up and make any sense as a deal, hey, sometimes it's just not a deal. But by reaching out and trying to find a way to invest and reaching out to someone who does have the funds to be able to take the deal down, it's providing you also with a little bit of education. And guess what? If someone's taking deals to me exclusively that they found off market that are, there's some problem that they're solving, I got a lot of time to talk to you. And I know you do too, right?
Yes. And no. It depends. It depends if you're doing taxes.
Right.
It's tax season right now. But no, I agree with Daniel. I think there's definitely value in the skill that hopefully we have developed that we can share with people who might not have it. So if you have a deal, don't feel bad about looking stupid if the deal is not good. That's okay. In the beginning, everybody makes mistakes, and that's what it takes to learn and understand the good deals from bad deals.
Absolutely.
So other ways to buy real estate, and another deal that I can talk about is another way to do an acquisition of a commercial real estate without any money or credit was one of the examples of a property we bought 3-4 months ago. 33,000 square foot warehouse building in Edina with 9 units, 9 separate units which have office and warehouse component to them. And the concept that we used, or the secret that we used, was equity participation combined with a low down payment contract for deed. I'll give you an example of how that deal worked, so it might answer some questions for people who are interested in buying real estate. So this particular deal was on the market for a while, I think a year or so, and nobody was looking at it. Nobody saw the opportunity. $2.5 million purchase price. Okay. 33,000 square feet. When we approached this property, it has fallen out of contract 3 times already. And for various reasons. One of the friends that I work with, and actually one of my partners, tried to go after it, couldn't put it together. So when I met the seller face to face, I communicated with them to understand what his needs are. And he wasn't really looking for cash. He just didn't want to manage it. He lives in Naples, half of his year, he's a snowbird, and he didn't want to manage the property. The property was mismanaged. It had 30% vacancies, a whole bunch of month-to-month leases, so it didn't make sense to buy it at $2.5 million to start with. Right. And I communicated to him that the real value of this property stabilized is about $2.5 million. Mm-hmm. However, this not being stabilized property, max he can get is $2 million, and I'm happy to work with him at that number. So after 2-3 months of communicating with him, he ultimately agreed to sign a purchase agreement at $1.95 million with us. Also, knowing the fact that he does not want to cash out and pay the tax on the gain of the property, he's owned the property for over 30 years. I said, my biggest problem with buying this property is I need $500,000 down payment. Right. It's a lot of money. So I said, if he can do this with 10% down versus 25% down with the bank would require, I think it would be easier for me to do the deal, and I would give him a higher price. Right. So I negotiated a 90% contract for deed at 4% amortized over 30 years. Now, if anybody knows anything about commercial real estate lending, most lenders want to be at 20%. Right. I mean, 20-year amortization, which makes the payment higher, and most banks want 20 to 25% down payment. So 10% down is where we are on this property, and I was getting a 3% real estate commission. Yeah. So all I had to do is come in with 7% of $2 million. And a friend of mine who's been wanting to get into this business, I met with him, I showed him the property, and I said, of course, so there are a lot of people who wanted to do this deal, but this particular guy is a good buddy of mine. And I said, if you float 7% of this whole deal, I will lease it up, I will manage it and create value, and we will make this $1.9 million property to a $2.5 million property in no time. Right. 6 months or so. So what we did is we bought the property in a 50-50 partnership. My partner came up with 7%. I donated my real estate commission, so no money out of my pocket, no credit. And we owned the property. Needless to say, we leased it up, stabilized the property, and the value of the property is about 2.6 today, actually. And we might refinance it to extract the money that my friend put in to redeploy it into something else. Right. But this particular example is how you can buy a property with no money out of pocket, no credit, and really control a 33,000 square foot property. I think we effectively made $550,000. We actually ended up buying it for $1.9 million. After due diligence, we found out some issues with the property, and we got a discount of $50,000. So basically, that's the story. But Rafiq, what if I don't have friends who have $150,000? How do I then reach out and try and get a deal like this put together? All right, and this is where philosophy comes in. Okay. See, if you are surrounded by people who don't have any money, or who don't have the same mindset of growing and becoming successful, you will always be a common denominator of people you surround yourself with. So you almost always have to go out of your way and increase amount of people in your life who have substance, who have maybe education, who have money, who have connections, and try to work with them, try to bring them into your life, and hopefully you will be adding value to them. So
Absolutely.
I'll tell you this, I'm surrounded by a ton of people whose biggest problem is where to put their money. You know what they're scared of, those people? They're scared of the fact that their money will be eroded due to inflation.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about millions of dollars sitting in the bank and they want to put it to work. And I provide a service of taking their money, putting into responsible commercial real estate deals, and basically increasing their wealth.
Right.
And taking a little piece of the top. I try to keep everything at 50%.
Yep.
I try not to be a 20% partner. I always try to manage the properties, although some of my friends now, partners, manage the properties we buy, which is great because I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But dude, there's a lot of people with money. Look around.
And there's a lot of people with money with very limited time.
Exactly.
And I
They're
think
busy.
there's a lot of great opportunities. Find a mentor, find somebody out there who's doing something similar to what you're doing, and bring value to them. You can't just say, "Hey, Rafiq, teach me everything that you know. I'm gonna just hang out and
And that's
eat your food."
unfortunately what happens,
Yeah.
right?
And
So a lot of
that's
people,
the common-
they call me and they're like, hey, dude, I want to meet with you. I want you to teach me. And I mean, there's only one of me and so many people want the help. I always ask, well, how can we work together so that it's a win-win situation, right? I mean, I can mentor you, but there's got to be some sort of a win-win benefit to each party.
Right.
So always think about what kind of value you can add to the person you try to engage with, and the more value you add to them, the more they will want to spend time with you and interact with you.
Of course.
So that's important.
So to me, it's reasonable that in a 3 to 6 month period, someone who's motivated, you can get on Bigger Pockets, you can get on Facebook, you can ask around in your personal network, who do I know who's doing something that I want to be doing in real estate? And even if you don't have any money, if you can be bringing value to them somehow, whether it's taking photos, there's a lot of stuff that we don't want to do.
You can be an intern. You can be you can run around and do pictures and videos and learn in the meantime of the skills that we get from years and years of paying mentors. I mean, I paid thousands of dollars. I probably paid $250,000 for all the education I got from various, commercial academy and gurus out there, right?
Right.
So it's all out there. It's all about you wanting to ask for it and reach and get it, but provide a value in return.
Right. And in that interim, you're learning everything that you need to know to be able to provide the real value, the value that mentor wants at the end of the day, which is to turn you into someone who's out there actually able to find these deals. And once you bring them to them, you'll have the opportunity to invest in real estate without money out of pocket. And then
No credit either.
Wait. Enough time passes. Now you're the guy with money.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
And by the way, Daniel has a lot of money right now. You just sold a couple of properties. So you can call him and he'll partner up with you on anything.
Absolutely.
I have access to money. I mean, I am selling 4 properties right now. I'm going to be sitting on a ton of capital to deploy. So feel free, if you have a deal, to share it with us. Try to go through Daniel first. He will be a great triage, review everything, and put it together, and hopefully you'll call me.
And if you don't call us, we're just going on vacation with all the money from this trip. So, Rafiq,
All right.
thanks for being here. Everyone, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.